So, distinguished guests and colleagues, both here in person and also from online. So good afternoon. So it's my great honor to be the host of this symposium, and I extend a warm welcome to all participants. And I'm delighted also to see the gathering of both familiar faces and also new person all here, gathering here today. So actually, as a young and emerging university founded in 2013, ShanghaiTech University aims to become a small-scale, high-level, and international university focused on research and innovation, which aligns perfectly with the core value of Swiss Next. And in fact, ShanghaiTech's exchanges and collaborations with Switzerland began as early as 2014, so after 1 year of our establishment. And also a close bond has been established over the years, including a visit of Mr. Filippo Rossel and his colleagues actually in 2022. So following the 10th anniversary of ShanghaiTech last September, the university is now entering an exciting new phase of development with biomedical and clinical research and transformation being key elements of our future plans. So as a result, the Shanghai Clinical Research and Trial Center was established 3 years ago to facilitate the seamless transition between clinical needs and basic research, as well as the comprehensive integration of medical care, education, research, and industry. So today's symposium provides an excellent platform for representatives from both academic and industry communities from China and Switzerland. And we look forward to inspiring new collaborations through our exchanges and discussions today. So now, please join me in welcoming Mr. Philippe Rossel, CEO and Counsel of Swiss Next in China, to the stage for his opening remark. Thank you.
Good. Esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends and colleagues. So it's no secret, in many parts of the world, we are facing the challenges of an aging population. As a result, healthcare costs are generally on the rise, and the pressure on our healthcare systems, healthcare environments, as well as on, of course, healthcare professionals and patients are rising dramatically. That is the bad news. The good news, however, is that our technological and innovative capabilities are rising as well. Of course, I'm thinking about artificial intelligence, about robotics, enhanced diagnostic accuracy, treatment precision. I'm thinking of personalized medicine and predictive analytics. The answers to many of the challenges which the healthcare world is facing are right here. But I think the challenges also lie elsewhere. We have much of the technology, but how can we harness it so that it strengthens medical practitioners, healthcare environments, and patients in equal measure? That is, I think, the real challenge. And that was the starting point of our reflections at Swiss Next in China, where we asked ourselves, what will hospitals of the future have to look like? What will they have to look like in order to best cope with the challenges we are facing, while simultaneously balance the interests of all stakeholders, again, practitioners, environments, and patients. So we're convinced that the future of hospital also hinges on interdisciplinary collaboration. The silos between medical sciences, pharmacology, and engineering, but also psychology, social sciences, economics, and particularly design will have to be broken down if we want to create hospitals of the future which will really break onto new ground and improve lives. Swiss Next in China is Switzerland's global network in education, research, and innovation. And we have a wonderful job. We make connections, we find inspiring people, we discover hot topics and trends, and then make connections. Our job is to build bridges with a view to facilitate collaboration. So Switzerland is known for CERN, probably heard of it, the world famous particle collider. SwissNex, if I may use that analogy, is a collider of people with a view to find answers to global challenges. And that is what we're here for today, right? And we want to connect people who might otherwise not meet because they work maybe in different subsectors or maybe because they work on different continents. So I hope today's Future Hospital event contributes to making some new connections, to building bridges and fostering if not multidisciplinary connections and collaborations. Future Hospitals is intended as a series, and today's first volume looks at the intersections between academia and industry. Now, I want to thank to all our partners who made this event possible. First and foremost, of course, to ShanghaiTech University, who helped us develop the content and who are hosting us at a beautiful campus here in Pudong. I want to thank all the speakers who have taken time out of their busy schedule in order to join us here today, to share their insights, to join the discussion. Some have come from close by, some have come from afar, but it wouldn't be possible without you. So thank you for that. I want to thank the Swiss Business Hub in China for also working on the content with us and helping us reach the right and relevant audience members. And of course, my thanks go to the whole SwissNex in China team, who masterminded the whole event together with our partners and worked tirelessly to bring it all together. My team will also be available later on for more in-depth networking and discussions. So with that, I've said enough. We'll leave the floor to the experts now. Thank you very much, and I wish you a nice afternoon.
Okay, thank you for the enlightening remarks. So now let's welcome Dr. Jinglei Wu, President of the Shanghai Medical Association and also a former Director of the Shanghai Municipal Health Commission, for his remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ni. Dear Ms. Rossos, Swiss and Chinese friends and colleagues from hospitals, universities, research institutions, and industry. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to the seminar. Future Hospitals, research institutes, meet industry. I'm honored to sit together with Chinese and Swiss professionals to share ideas on this important theme, which will enrich our knowledge and provide new visions on how to build future hospitals. For the Swiss friends who might not be familiar with the organizations that I represent, I will quickly say a few words. Shanghai Medical Association is a non-profit social organization founded by the medical and healthcare professionals in Shanghai in 1917. The core tasks of the association are promoting the academic exchange and cooperation in medical science, publishing journals and books, organizing evaluations on programs of medical science and clinical technology, providing consultation to government departments on policy making, and undertaking science population activities, and so on. In short, we are committed to the motto, a century-old association serving the public with medical dedication. Switzerland is well known among medical professionals for its outstanding healthcare system, world-class medical research and education, multinational pharmaceutical companies, and innovative startups. In 2019, when I was the director of Shanghai Municipal Health Commission, I was invited to deliver a keynote speech in the Shanghai Basel Dialogue in Life Science Forum held by Canton of Basel. I'm delighted to see that after 5 years, this event has brought together Swiss and Chinese side again to discuss a topic of mutual interest. When constructing research hospitals, it is essential to deepen collaboration with the industry to jointly advance the innovation and application of medical technology. Such collaboration not only accelerates the clinical transformation of scientific research findings, but also provides patients with more effective and personalized treatment options. Moreover, the role of technology in transforming hospitals cannot be underestimated. From artificial intelligence to precision medicine, From telemedicine to intelligent medical devices, each technological advancement is preparing a transformation in hospital service models, enhancing the quality and efficiency of medical care. This Future Hospital Symposium, as an open platform, offers us a unique opportunity to engage in dialogue, share experience, and seek new paths for cooperation. We hope to find innovative solutions to current challenges and jointly advance the technology transformation in the medical field. Lastly, I'd like to express my special thanks to the organizers, SwissNext, ShanghaiTech University, and the Shanghai Clinical Research and Trial Center for their efforts in promoting the development of medical science and technology. I wish this symposium a great success. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Dr. Wu. So now we will now proceed to our first session on the collaborative opportunities between research hospitals and industry. So please allow me to invite the moderator, Dr. Ying Lei, the Deputy Director of Shanghai Institute for Advanced Immunochemical Studies, as well as the Research Director at the Shanghai Clinical Research and Trial Center. So yeah, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone here, and good morning for the ones on the in the Switzerland. It's my great honor to be here to serve as a moderator for the session 1. So our first session will focus on collaborative opportunities between research hospitals and industry. So we are very lucky to have 4 distinguished speakers here, and 2 representing research hospitals and 2 from industry sector. And I believe they will bring us a very comprehensive discussion here. And our first speaker is Dr. Chou Wen-Zhu. He is the founding director of Shanghai Clinical Research and Trial Center. And he is also a very experienced gastroenterologist and clinical epidemiologist. And he is very actively involved in promoting collaborative research and evidence-based medicine. So the title of his presentation will be Shanghai Clinical Research and Trial Center, exploring the development of a distinctive research hospital. Let's welcome him. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Dr. Lei, for your introduction. And I think here, just I would like to express my sincere thanks to all the participants and the guests coming here. I'm so honored to be invited to give you can say the speech or an introduction about my Clinical Research and Trial Center, which is still just under construction. And that means that we haven't accomplished project yet. And also that means that every possibility that we have, that we can do many things, that when it's get accomplished, I hope that there can have great achievements based on our understanding and cooperation. So this is my topic, to build, to working for the distinctive research hospital. Well, actually, research hospital, you may call this, but also we may make it a research-led hospital or research-oriented hospital or academic medical center or even academic health center, which is definitely including the medical practice, but also the medical research as well. And in China, we often emphasize the 4 words that in China, the 学科建设, discipline construction or the development. And also, especially for the large public hospital, especially the university-affiliated hospital, we have to play a medical practice, medical research, and medical education and management, and which also shows some demonstration and a leading job to other hospitals. So this is to say that my hospital is a ShanghaiTech University hospital, but also a municipal hospital under the leadership of Shanghai Commission of Health. That means we not only to provide a service, but mainly we'll focus on some research. But also there's something the research hospital derived from research universities, actually. Sorry, I just made it wrong. It's when we said the research university, you can take it back around 200 years ago, starting from Berlin University. And then in America, the Johns Hopkins University recognized as the starting point of the real modernized research university. So this means they have to do the knowledge is not only inheritance and the teaching, but you have to generate and disseminate and apply this knowledge to the society for the development in every kind of society as well. And how about the research hospital? So it's not only to give the clinical service, but also you have to train the talents to generate the knowledge through your distinguished research, clinical research, but also you have to develop or revise the clinical guidelines or the standards to the society, which means you lead the development trend in the medical society, in the health society. So which hospital can be the research hospital? Actually, there's no very definite definition for this. And the Mayo Clinic or MGH or Cleveland and in Europe or the charity hospital, they can say this. So all the hospitals share the impact of academic, economic, and social or in the other facts. So how about in China? Surely we have medical centers, national medical centers. As you can call all these hospitals have the title of the medical centers. They are research hospitals, but they also have a long history, very large, comprehensive for years and very large. But how about the challenges to build a research hospital in China, especially for traditionally the large public hospitals, even the private hospitals? So the position of the hospital and the orientation of the development and the evaluation of KPIs or incentives or investment or supporting all have these kind of problems, which are not so appropriately to support the hospital to be a research hospital anyway. So mostly you can say the large hospital, they provide a large amount of the service, but there's relatively less, the investment in research. Now I know many hospitals invest a lot in the research, but how make it sustainable and how make it to match the development of the other hospitals, that's something that we have seen. It's these things. So here, this comes from the Shanghai Clinical Research and Trial Center, was established by Shanghai Municipality, try to build a new hospital, but it's focused on research. But definitely it is a tertiary care hospital. Without the hospital title, without the hospital, the essentials, we can do nothing for clinical research or even for the clinical trials. So it's very close to here. There's 2 blocks away, close to the ShanghaiTech University, and also now it is under the leadership of Shanghai Municipality, the Health Commission, but also the ShanghaiTech University as well. My understanding of what kind of innovation of this hospital is, firstly, it is an under one roof institution. It's focused on research, but also it's a hospital. It's a research hospital, but also it gives clinical practice. But it's comprehensively integrated with ShanghaiTech University. The mission is to solve the unmet clinical problems and to do clinical-oriented researches, especially on the pathogenesis, for very original study for these studies. And it will be a platform for bilateral translation and technology transfer. Here, my understanding is clinical research by far is larger than the clinical trials, not only for the trials, but also we do the research, the basic research as well. And our architecture designed by an international company, which may have a broad the other thinking by the Chinese companies. And our human resources will be coming from internally, but also externally. We are not a closed hospital. We are an open hospital. To have the scholars, to have the nurses coming from different regions, coming to different parts, you can work here. But also these faculties may even from industry to work with us. But we'll support the basic support, the facility support, the technical support for all these issues. And some special missions that we are located in Zhangjiang, we are located in Pudong, we are located in Shanghai. So that's the most dynamic place in China, even in the world. So means that we must find a way, an open and a flexible way and a productive way to working with industries, with other academic institutions and the hospitals. You cannot be in a closed one. Well, this why the ShanghaiTech? ShanghaiTech is a small-scale, high-level international university with research and innovation orientation. Only by 10 years, it's reached the top in China. So we are building for this. It's have our phase 1 is along this, and phase 2 for the medical school, and phase 3 will be expansion of the hospital. That's in our the blueprint. For the function model, it's surely it will be a hospital, but then the hospital will open and share the clinical research platforms with the ward, with the operation room, but with the key facilities, and the laboratories can support all these kind of researchers. And the scholars coming other side can just walk in and working with us. We'll do a smooth connection with research and the special laboratory equipment and basic research facilities for different kinds of clinical studies and clinical trials. This is our module for from bed to bench, from bench to bed, Center for Disease Research, and it's tailor-made and general laboratories and platforms which can fit for these kind of requirements. And we are happy now for the research hospital, the development. We are in the stage 4 that we build a new campus. It's not a reconstruction of a new old building, not a building renovation, not a new building, but a new campus. Totally, we can make a comprehensive design for all this. It's integrate the research and clinical buildings and make it into a research hospital. Here, our floors are connected. The ward and the research part and the different kind of the researchers can be situated in a different part. We can make all this happen. And also, we spotlight the clinical the research, the importance of that. The labs close to the ward, and also the facilities are very cutting of age advanced. Also, we make up quite many created common spaces that we can get shared. And we also emphasize the flexibility of the spaces, which then we can turn to different tasks in a short time to make fit for the clinical research and for the clinical trials. So this the picture coming from the States last year when I was in Boston to join the World Medical Innovation Forum, had a dialogue with, surely I am watching the dialogue of FDA Director, Dr. Robert Califf. He emphasized all the issues, but the reliability is the key. It means without appropriate research methodology, you can reach nothing. So that means whatever we're working by us or working with the other institutions that we have to follow the research methodology, follow these ways internationally recognized so that we can move forward. Otherwise, it will be difficult. So for the challenges ahead, as I said, these kind of issues, but for me, I think, anyway, these kind of challenges, I think, I said 3 challenges as well: how to recruit the talents, how to make the support sustainable and predictable, and thirdly, how we have our tolerance for time being to achieve our goal. So that's these kind of challenges I have. Well, but I would like to say that here I'm happy that to share my understanding of my center, and I'm looking forward to working with my colleagues here from Switzerland and also from China, from industry, from other academic institutions. Thank you so much. After the conference, welcome to my Sky Lounge. We have chat.
So, thanks for Dr. Zhu's wonderful talk. So our next speaker will be Dr. Christiane Pauli-Magnus. She is the co-head of the Department of Clinical Research at the University Hospital and the University of Basel, and the president of Swiss Clinical Trial Organization. She is also a member of Swiss Science Council, which advised Swiss government on topics relating to the continuous improvement of education, research, and innovation in Switzerland. And she will bring us a talk about the Department of Clinical Research in Basel, efficiently supporting high-quality academic clinical research. So let's welcome.
Okay, so I start and you tell me if there's any problem. So what I'm going to do is to briefly introduce the Department of Clinical Research in Basel, and what I heard from the previous speaker is the concept of research hospitals, and this was interesting to me in the way that university hospitals, and we have 5 university hospitals in Switzerland, are all research hospitals because they are closely linked to medical faculties. And we are thinking in a way that research in these hospitals research is integrated in medical care. So we have no dedicated research beds, but the way we are doing medicine in university hospitals is integrating research and different types of research. I will show you this into how we treat patients. So to start with, as I said, research within the university hospitals is usually integrated within the medical faculties. So in Basel, we have different research departments governed by the medical faculties and also financed by the medical faculties. So as you can see, the Department of Clinical Research is one of these departments. We have also biomedical research, which is more the basic part of medical research. We have biomedical engineering. And what you see here, that could look like being organizing research in silos, which is not the case. Because there's a lot of interaction, of course, between these departments. This is just sort of the organizational level of how to think about clinical research and professors sort of being part of one or several departments. So this is sort of the organizational level at the medical faculty, and at the same time, especially the Department of Clinical Research and the activities of the Department of Clinical Research are located at and associated with the university hospital. So the clinical researchers are professors at the university hospital, and they are interacting with sort of the infrastructural support provided by the Department of Clinical Research to do their clinical studies or their clinical research activities. Just to give you some numbers to show you that it's probably on a scale, it's much smaller than what you are used to. So we have 1 million residents in the catchment area of our hospital. We have 40,000 patients per year that are treated as inpatients. We have about 10,000 doctors as referring physicians and 8,000 employees within the university hospital. So what is sort of, and this is pretty similar to my previous speaker. So what are we heading for? So we are at the Department of Clinical Research, but in research as a whole, we are first of all trying to establish partnership with researchers, with students, to get external partner projects and internal employees to be our collaborators. We are very focusing on patient centricity, and I will come to this because this is one of the real hot topics at the moment, also in Switzerland, but I think also internationally, of how to do research that is really relevant to patients. I already talked about interdisciplinarity, that we need exchange between research of different disciplines and between departments. It's about solid scientific methods. And it's about research integrity. So these are principles that we are applying in our daily practice. So just to give you an overview of our research group and institutions associated to the Department of Clinical Research. So not most, but about 65% of the researchers are coming from the university hospital. But then there are other institutions that hold professorships in the Basel area and are also associated to the medical faculty. This is the Children's Hospital, UKBB, Psychiatry, and other institutions, cantonal hospitals that hold professorships and that contribute to clinical research activities in the Basel area. We have many different clinical research activities that are ongoing. For the sake of time, I can't give you examples of projects, but what I can say is that we cover multiple disciplines and focal areas, and there are some sort of flagship areas that are established in Basel. This is especially neuroscience, and here there's a strong focus on multiple sclerosis and stroke. We have a strong focus on cardiology, on surgical outcome research, on oncology, and here especially the field of new cellular therapies and a lot of research also ongoing in the area of endocrinology. So these are sort of the strongest areas of research, of clinical research we have in Basel. Then, of course, what we call clinical research is a lot of different types of projects. It's the classical randomized control trials. There's our first-in-man trials where we have a dedicated unit. We have registry cohorts, data-driven research with samples. I will come to this. And we have many different interventions and research questions ranging from therapeutic, diagnostic, preventive, single and multi-center trials. So a lot of different activities ongoing and supported by specialists within the department. Just some words to financing. There's some sort of baseline financing from the university, especially from the university, some money coming from the Confederation. But then we are heading for gaining competitive money for our projects. And the most prestigious grants are those coming from the Swiss National Science Foundation. And here we have different types of grant. There's one dedicated grant going to investigator-initiated clinical trials, which are about 2 to 3 million per grant. Then there is project funding. We have early career funding. And of course, we also can gain competitive money from the university, from the Swiss academies. So most of what we are doing here, as it is focused on academic clinical research, is really competitive money coming from different sources. While industry money is usually not managed by the department, I would say that's about 10% of our incomes. So what is provided by the department? So what are we offering as support for our clinical researchers? So of course, we are doing the classical investigator-initiated clinical trials and supporting the entire life cycle of these projects. We are also very involved in registries and cohort studies. There's a lot about sort of handling and storing and making use of data. And this is very much sort of connected to also the secondary use of patient data and samples for research. So what we have as clinical routine data is often integrated into investigator-initiated trials, but also into prospective cohorts. And then we have some additional activities. So one is to do our own application and software development, especially directed towards academic clinical trials to facilitate sort of the management of these trials. We have a strong focus on patient-public involvement. I will come to this. And we have a unit dedicated to clinical epidemiology, giving a methodological support to most of our projects. Just to show you some numbers, sort of the projects managed by our department, but also overall the type or number of projects managed at the hospital and the associated institutions. So here at the department, we support about roughly 300 clinical studies and research projects per year. In total running prospective studies about 900. This means that the gap is explained by industry collaborations that we have, but that are usually not managed by our department, but are managed by the professors in the different departments. So the services that are provided by our department sort of cover, as I mentioned, the entire life cycle of a project, starting with methodological support, with all the data-driven services, statistics, data management, data sciences, IT services, and then all of the regulatory and quality management topics that are relevant for clinical research. What was also mentioned by the previous speaker is the importance of training and education, so training the next generation of medical scientists, but also of research professionals. So we have a lot of different training opportunities established at the department for different target audiences, ranging from students, from medical students to medical doctors, to research professionals, study nurses, statistics, etc. In total, we have more than 1,000 people that are attending our courses per year and are getting course certificates. And as a special program, we have what we call an MD PhD program in clinical research. So this is for medical doctors which want to enter clinical research. This is one of the fastest growing doctoral programs at the medical faculty, with 90 students in total at the moment, coming from different disciplines and doing their own research projects in parallel to their medical specialization. Well, I briefly want to comment on two upcoming challenges. One is the implementation of patient-public involvement. So really the question, how can we better know what patients need, what is relevant to them? And there are different activities going on at the local and also on a national level. So first of all, most of the competitive grants today want to have a patient-public involvement plan integrated. And one of the questions, of course, for clinical researchers is how to best address this. So what we provide at the department is counseling for these matters, and also establishing a connection between patients and with a specific disease and researchers. We also started to educate patient experts, meaning that those serving as specialists in clinical research projects also know about the clinical research process. We have a nationwide survey of study participants to ask them about their experiences in clinical studies and to better understand what their needs are. And we started to really provide specialized information for study participants via social media, via websites, to make them understand or to provide a better understanding on the clinical studies they might want to participate in. So there are a lot of activities on this level. And finally, and this was also addressed by the previous speaker, there are a lot of upcoming challenges with the handling of data from different sources. And all of these data come with different requirements. And this is sort of in the context of new technologies, personalized health approaches, etc. So what we face is that we move away from the field of the typical clinical trials, more in the field of using new technologies, digital biomarkers, data from wearables, a lot of imaging data that has been analyzed with diagnostic algorithms. We are dealing with the secondary use of genetic data and samples, and this comes with new technological challenges, but also with a lot of regulatory challenges. And here we are also addressed by our funders that want us to provide fair data management plans to make best use of these data, and especially also to share them within the community. So these are challenges that we address locally, but of course also on a national level. So this was mentioned during the introduction. So I'm also president of the Swiss Clinical Trial Organization. And this is sort of a nationwide organization connecting all the different departments of clinical research within Switzerland to find sort of harmonized approaches to the different challenges and to share them within our community. And also to connect to other infrastructure initiatives at the national level, like the Swiss Personalized Health Network and the Swiss Biobanking Platform. So we have really, as we are living in the small country, the opportunity to know the people we are working with and to exchange to make the entire environment and landscape as best as possible, as good as possible. And this was a brief introduction. It's my apologies for the initial problems with the micro, and I hope you could follow what I said. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Dr. So our next speaker will be Chen Chen. He is CEO of Central Research Institute of United Imaging Healthcare Group, and he is also distinguished professor of ShanghaiTech University, adjunct professor of ShanghaiTech University. So he will bring us a talk about the path of medical imaging technology innovation via research collaboration. Thank you. So welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody. When I saw the title, the subtitle, Research Institute Meet Industry, it resonated quite a lot because I've been working, had an opportunity to work on both sides. And actually, Philip, a moment ago, used the word collider of people. I would imagine it's collider of ideas in future hospital. So I've been given 10 minutes. The first 2 minutes I will use.
It's not working. Can you? Okay, but I use first 2 minutes to introduce the United Imaging, which is a group made of 7 subsidiary companies. The first company of this group was founded on March 21st, 2011, which is only 13 years old. And the youngest one is only 1 year old. The company, I can't continue without showing slides. So I'm the CEO of the Central Research Institute of this newly established company. Can we use a local computer to get the slides down? 对，或者是直接在这讲就行了。Sorry about that. You know, the people talk about meta hospital, talk about we can have digital people talking to each other. We can even not talk to people face to face. So technology, there's a long way to go, I guess. So, but anyway, it's our fault. We are in the industry, and we have not been able to get this in. Can we just hook a laptop directly? That'd be much easier.倾向哪个？哪一个？这个还是这个？都可以吗？ Okay, finally. All right. So, as I mentioned, the United Imaging Group is made of 7 babies. The oldest one is only 13 years old, and I'm the head of the youngest baby, Central Research Institute. And the company is basically covering from prevention, diagnosis, treatment, and rehabilitation. Basically covers the entire field of healthcare. I will use 2 examples. One is United Imaging Healthcare, which makes medical imaging equipment, MRI, CT, positron emission tomography, and also the Central Research Institute, which is trying to facilitate the research environment between industry and the research institute. The first company, United Imaging Healthcare, is a provider of all medical imaging technology, including all those here. For example, here is a positron emission tomography equipment that can be used to scan from the entire human body to even the mouse, the heart of the mouse. So with very high spatial resolution, you can see things which you previously cannot see. That's one example. And the Central Research Institute is trying to not only look into future technology, but also to build a collaborative innovation ecosystem. We have 5 branches in Beijing, Shanghai, Wuhan, Shenzhen, and one in Houston. We work very closely with hospitals and research institutes all over the world, which I will show some examples. For example, those are collaboration with pretty much all top hospitals in China, from the Union Hospital in Beijing, Huaxi, and etc. One example is we started very early, 2016. This is 5 years into the founding of United Imaging. We worked with Peking University Third Hospital in developing a MR imaging coil that can scan scan from the tip of the toe to the lower part of the leg. We also worked very closely with the nuclear medicine department of the Zhongshan Hospital using PET MRI to study many types of diseases. I will not get into details, but the relationship has been very fruitful during the years. Here again is Zhongshan Hospital. This is the research between the research collaboration between United Imaging and the hospital. I witnessed the entire process because this is me right outside of the window, seeing that. Not only in China, we also went out to many countries and regions in the world. For example, UC Davis, WashU, Yale University, which I'll get into details in a moment. Also India, Italy, and in the Middle East. For example, here is a collaboration between UC Davis under a NIH grant, working together with United Imaging. This is very much a research institute meet industry. Here are the colleagues at UC Davis coming to United Imaging, looking at the technology, and then we together, within 2 years, build up the first total body positron emission tomography. There's many publications coming out from there. And I was lucky in 2019, I went to UC Davis, having this ribbon cutting ceremony in UC Davis. For example, this is a scan of the entire body without moving the patient table, and you can see the heart, seeing many different parts of many different parts of the body, including the brain. And also, because the sensitivity of the machine is 40 times as high as conventional one, you can small little babies, for example, 2 years old, because it uses very low dose and the scan is very fast. Here, this is probably about minutes, but today we showed you can scan those little babies in 6 seconds. So even they kick around, you can scan the patients quite well. This is with UC Davis, and also in 2019, we installed our MRI scanner at WashU, where there's actually 17 Nobel Prize winners coming from here. Here are this is the installation of the scanner. Wait a second. Okay, and this is the professor at WashU. Together, they did a lot of cardiovascular imaging. Here are the patients. Wait a second. Okay, back to here. And due to the success with UC Davis, Yale University also applied for NIH grant and being awarded to build up the highest spatial resolution neural PET, partnering with United Imaging. And the result, actually this product has been developed last year. There's many publications. For example, the work has been invited as the, here is the, basically last year's Society of Nuclear Medicine and Molecular Imaging meeting, showing this for the first time. You can see the brain so clearly. This is metabolic information, and there's many in the heart. And also, this is the first time using a PET to imaging COVID-19 using CD8 as a targeted antibody. The collaboration has showed that has been very fruitful because, again, this work has been invited as the neuroscience highlight by the professor from Yale University, and even technologists received the best paper at this meeting, and also Young Investigator Award. And my colleague, Lance Hu, received distinguished investigator from the Academy of Radiology and Biomedical Imaging Research. Not only working together with developed countries, we also set our foot in many developing countries, in India, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and many, many other countries. And here are the footprint. We have been working together with 45 global scientific collaboration sites. They are outside of China. In China, we have hundreds. Outside of China, many of the work has been published, and many of the new technology developed to fit the needs of local regions have been used and integrated into our product. Finally, I want to use this word, this slide. These are slides I used during a visit from, this is the Southeast, 东南大学, East, South, and Southeast. Southeast University and the University of Birmingham and United Imaging, they came here. We did together. We had many discussion of the future collaboration. I use this old ancient the Chinese saying 治和者不以山海为远, meaning that nothing can separate people either from industry or research institution and medical centers. Nothing can separate us if we have shared goals and vision. Here's my last slide. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dr. Chen's great work. So our next speaker will be Dr. Lianshan Zhang. He is the Vice Director of Jiangsu Hengrui Pharmaceuticals. Dr. Zhang takes responsibility for the R&D strategy and management of dozens of NMEs across the globe. So today, his talk will be about redefining innovation to better serve future needs at hospitals. Okay, let's welcome him.
So, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's my honor, really my honor, to be invited by Swiss Next and ShanghaiTech. So, I think for me, I would like to share how we redefine, innovation in our industry, to better serve future needs in the hospital. So, in my widest imagination, what will be our future needs in the hospital? I think if we can address adequately the needs from our patients, in the hospital, then we achieved our mission. Which one? Okay. Oh. So, first of all, I would like to introduce who we are. Hengrui is a leading Chinese pharmaceutical companies. Okay, so in terms of honors, what do we have? Okay, we do. We are ranked as a global top 15. So we enjoyed 3.1 billion USD revenue, and half of the revenue stream are from our innovative pipeline. Okay, and we are very proud that actually we spend 20% of our revenue for R&D, and in fact, in 2010 we spent nearly 30%, of our revenue for our R&D. So right now we have 15 innovative products serve the patient worldwide, and we are a large company in a sense. We have 20,000 employees, and among them 5,000 are in the R&D organization. So what can we do, right? And we actually have end-to-end capabilities to develop and commercialize innovative medicines. Okay, so basically we have a research organization of 5,000 scientists. We have a clinical development team, and one of the largest in China, around 2,500 clinicians and clinical scientists. We do have a world-renowned manufacturing facilities, as we are actually marketing multiples, over 10 generics drugs worldwide. Okay, we have FDA and EMA approved products on the market. Commercialization is a key part. Okay, as an industry, we need revenue to support our R&D. Okay, and certainly we are well known in the oncology area, but in the past 10 or 15 years, we actually have access to a chronic care market as well. So, as a public company, okay, we actually use the money we raised, okay, for the establishment of R&D center in Shanghai. So one of the oldest R&D center here in Minhang, so not it's 1 hour far away from here, and with multiple technology platforms, we can address unmet medical needs. Okay, right? So as I said earlier, okay, we are very much focused on 2 major disease areas. Okay, cancer treatment. So we are the first who introduced cytotoxics onto Chinese market. So now we have multiple modalities to address all kinds of cancer. In order to further create sustainable growth for the company, actually we have multiple researchers in the chronic disease area. Okay, so why we can do that? We actually intensified our transnational research, whether it's internally or externally. So let's. This slide shows you how we actually refine our approach to the cancer. We know checkpoint inhibitors are really advancement for the cancer treatment. Okay, right? And in fact, Henry is one of the very first who launched anti-PD-L1 antibodies in this market. And we have multiple assets, multiple drugs actually to address breast cancer. I think we have the most broad pipeline, whether it's for triple-negative breast cancer, HER2 breast cancer, or HR-positive, HER2-negative breast cancer. Okay, we have very much research in the endocrine therapies. And most recently, we also launched an AI antagonist for prostate cancer. So in the targeted therapies, we traditional, we have kinase inhibitors, things like that, okay, check cell cycle inhibitors, things like that. Even we have a market product for synthetic lethality pathway inhibitors. And we are further expand ourselves in the hematologic cancers, okay? That's, we in-licensed one company, PI3K delta inhibitor for FL, and we are applying market authorization for our EZH2 inhibitors, okay, and an epigenetic modulator. So this slide is so busy, okay? That demonstrates, how many modalities we have, and, whether it's a small molecule compound or ADCs, okay? And we have all kinds of modalities to address unmet medical needs. So far, we have 51 assets in phase 1 to 3 trials, okay? Most importantly, as I said, we were looking for sustainable growth, okay? We have a strategy for chronic disease treatment, okay? Here, this slide tells you, okay, whether it's metabolic disease, autoimmune disease, or cardiovascular disease, things like that. Most recently, we actually put one of very first anti-beta antibody for Alzheimer's disease in clinical trials. So for the first time, we actually, we have 58 new molecular entities for chronic disease, okay? For the first time, it surpassed our oncology asset. So how can we do that? Without a good technology platform, we could not create so many assets. So from early discovery to preclinical phase to eventually run a clinical trial. So it requires multiple combinations to achieve that. So this is a key part for today's conversation, why academia should talk to industry, why industry should talk to academia institutions. That slide tells you all. I think, in order to create so-called first-in-class or best-in-class assets to address unmet needs, and those are the components we have to work with, or we have to contribute. So this is my last slide, okay? I think we have to understand the evolving disease spectrum in China as a Chinese company. And in order to do that, we have to talk to a hospital, to clinicians, okay, right? We can create Henry's unique pipeline, so the technology platform, by working with ShanghaiTech, by work with research hospital, to better understand disease biology, so that we can create compounds with differentiation. So our ultimate goal is to try to promote a healthy life for humankind through advancement in science. Thank you all for listening.
So let's move to the next one, the panel discussion. So please come to the front so we can have the panel discussion.
Hello. Okay.
Okay, so probably we just start with some questions, then we can extend our discussion. So my first question is for Dr. Zhang. So yeah, we are in another order. Yeah, so we know Henry operates in multiple countries, and including Switzerland. So do you experience any differences from like in the policy or culture or anything for you to experience in Switzerland? Yeah, can you share with us? Yeah.
Sure. Okay, we actually do have a clinical research office in Basel, right? As we are running our multi-center international trials, okay? And I have to say, it's rather easier to recruit cancer patients in Europe as compared to in the US, right? Because you are having so many competitive trials over there in US, okay, right? And in Europe. So we are waiting for a PDUFA date in May for our very first anti-PD-1 antibody versus plus our anti-VEGF compound, apatinib. So that combination, we have a successful trial. The results was public in Lancet, right? So for liver cancer, so as a first line therapy, very nice data. Okay, I think certainly our European sites contribute very much a patient for that trial, and currently we still have an ongoing trial in PARP1 inhibitor for prostate cancer, right? And so we can get, but because there's a time difference between U.S. approval and European authorization, you can certainly utilize that gap and to recruit a certain patient in Europe, okay? And so far, our experience has been good, okay, right? As the geopolitical situation is evolving, right? We actually 2 years ago, we decided to actually limit our trials in outside of China, because the clinical resource here in China is just precious. So because we have 1.5 billion people, and you can execute your clinical trials here much faster. But you do need Caucasian patient population to support a multi-center international trial. Okay, that's why it's very expensive, but it's still controllable in terms of cost. Okay, right? And right now we do have out license activities with companies in German Merck, okay, with other partners as well, so that I can see in the future we will have more clinical trials with Henry's asset, ongoing, right? So far so good. My experience has been good.
Yeah, so probably I have another question just for both you and Dr. Chen. So you both work with a lot of institutes, hospitals, and all kinds of collaborations. So can you share with us your insights or maybe about your ideal partner, like a research hospital? What kind of what criteria when you choose a research hospital? Yeah.
I go first?
Okay.
Go
Yeah.
first, okay. All right. We choose hospitals based on only one criteria, which is to create a win-win situation. So both sides wanted to do it, right? And for example, in China, we started with Zhongshan Hospital. Yeah, this is for two reasons. One is it's one of the very top hospitals, and also it's in Shanghai, so it's very close. We started the collaboration in 2014, meaning that 3 years, the company is only 3 years old, and it takes guts from the head of the hospital and United Imaging to make such a decision. And we both feel like working together is critical because as a company, we want to make sure that our products really meet the clinical needs, not just, a bunch of engineers saying, oh, this is cool, that is cool. It's more like what it is, the clinical needs. And for hospitals, they actually have many the unsolved problems clinically. They want us to develop technology. Either it's making MR scanner much faster, or to see, for example, cancer in the early stage. They want to work together with us on that. So also it's about the people, right? In Chinese, it's kind of 对眼不, right? Yeah, you feel like, well, there's chemistry between the two parties, then you can easily move forward. I think this is just one example here in China. This applied to many other places too. And for example, another is in the United States, right? And for UC Davis and Yale University, those very top university to choose a Chinese company, which is very young, is a difficult decision. And also they have to apply for the grant from National Institute of Health. And they need to convince the government officials that this is the company that is able to get things done. Otherwise, the money will be wasted, right? So I was lucky enough to get involved in the whole process. And I think at the beginning, for example, when UC Davis, the scholars, they came, they are very, very reluctant, right? Who are you? United Imaging, I've never heard of. And you tell me you have the best technology in the world. Shall I believe it, right? So, and I think in China, we always have this saying that 眼见为实. And in English, it's seeing is believing. So they came and they talk, they say, well, the technology is good. And more importantly, those people, they cope, right? Yeah, they actually, so you have common languages, and you shared, as I used the last slide, you have the shared vision that what the future should be, either in technology development or the application of technology in solving clinical problems. We see the same direction, then it's easy to. But there are the failed cases. You talk to people and, one sees that direction, the other sees that. If they don't work together, that's fine too, right?
So,
I'm sure you answer the question.
In terms of selection criteria, right? First of all, the quality, right? Quality system, whether the research hospital site has a good quality system, that's very important, right? And second of all, is do they have a very good track record is for certain patient population, right? We do need a recruitment, right? Okay. Third, certainly for a Chinese company, right? We are very much cost conscious, right? And that's important because since China is a member of ICH, right, organization, so I think the data system, quality system has to be the same. I think if I would choose, once Dr. Zhu's facility is ready, we should collaborate, right?
Yeah, thank you for your answers. So I think probably Dr. Zhu and Dr. Polly Magnus should have I mean, in the other angle, you may have your criteria to choose an industry, right? Yeah.
Well, why not get Dr. talk first? I will be the last one.
Yeah. Probably Dr. Polly Magnus, could you comment or response?
Yeah, so of course there are two levels of collaboration with industry. So one is what our department is usually not involved, and this is the type of participation in industry-driven multi-center trials, as they were mentioned, and where the decision whether they want to participate or not is led to the investigators or to the local PIs. So there we are not involved. On the other hand, there's quite some interaction with, let's say, big Swiss pharma companies, Novartis, Roche, and others, in our flagship programs. So let me give you one example in the area of multiple sclerosis. So there, we really try to address the multiple dimensions of this disease by doing basic research, doing clinical trials, doing imaging research, and their industry is heavily involved. But what we want to see there is that they let us the academic freedom to address the problems researchers think are important. That means that industry here is contributing with the money, is financing professorships, but what is done is up to the researchers here in academia. So these are sort of the two types, and of course they're programs in both fields, especially for this academic freedom interaction with industry, they work very well, and I think again both sides are profiting of this type of interaction.
Okay, so Dr. Zhu, do you have your answer?
Well, I'm still building the hospital now, so I cannot say that I have any experience working with the companies. But frankly saying, United Imaging and my center have a lot of discussion to say that how that we can work together to co-develop the kind of issues. But also, I met Dr. Zhang for several times, and I know Henry is such a top company. But if you want a top company to working with you with your hospital, so what the added value you will give to these companies? So for me, I'm working to establish such a center. That means that we have to go the way which should be internationally recognized. You cannot say you are unique, you are everything. No, nothing. If you want a friends, if you want a partner to work with you, we should share the same value and have the same mission and to work together. So that means during our establishment of the hospital, that we think that we should have not only the cutting of edge, the technologies or the facilities, but the procedures, the mechanisms, and the flow chart should all go along the international way. Otherwise, you cannot share, you cannot talk on the same table, on the same level. So that means internationalization and keep us all together. Keep the high standard, that will be our standard. So that's my biggest challenge is how that's in the near future, that how, in what position I can talk with these companies and work with them as partners. That's also my challenges. But I believe that during the time till our the clinical study center, trial center will be fully operated, that we can have quite long time of these kinds of discussion, but be very productive discussion, preparing for a productive future.
Do you have more comments? Okay, so we just move to next question. Probably this question will be for Dr. Polly Magnus. So actually, we know aging is a shared problems in China and both China and Switzerland. So I'm wondering, is there any measure taken by a Swiss medical government or community to address this issue? And probably we can learn from your experience.
So of course, aging is sort of an issue in all our medical disciplines. We have one hospital being part of the university context where we are specifically addressing diseases of aging. But here at the University Hospital Basel, which is the major hospital, aging is sort of integrated in all of our activities just because the patient population is aging. So it's not that we are so if we are looking at our diseases and the flagship areas I mentioned, like cardiology and neurovascular or neurosciences, and here especially also multiple sclerosis and stroke. Of course, there we are also facing an aging population, especially in stroke. But we don't look at it at doing studies, especially addressing aging, but addressing a specific type of disease, considering or taking into account that the population that we include in our studies or the population we have data from is an aging population. But it's not like one big specific topic that we are looking at aging as a major topic, at least not here in Basel in clinical research. But I'm not aware. I'm not aware also of the other disciplines that of aging is sort of integrated in what we are doing. Well, patients are usually patients. If you're not just looking at oncology, where you also have younger patients, but in all the other domains, we are facing patients of a certain age, and they are part of our clinical research activities.
I can add a little comment. Basically, as a imaging equipment provider, we actually look into this quite seriously as well. You can look at the progress of anatomic changes, but more importantly, you want to look into functional changes before the disease gets too serious that it's too late for you to treat, right? So early diagnosis and the prediction of the progress using, for example, positron emission tomography to obtain, for example, imaging biomarkers is also some area that we would love to work together with hospitals and research institutions, not just within our industry. I think this is why today's forum is important, because it takes hand to hand to work together on this. Just want to add to that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's really a good question. So as we are actually entering an aged society, right? It is a real problem, I think, worldwide to be addressed, okay? So in our portfolio, actually, right, we do have a focus on neurodegenerative disease, whether it's Parkinson's disease or more, a challenging Alzheimer's disease, right? And we do have that. I think, just in order to build an Alzheimer's disease portfolio, right, we have to actually do a nuclear medicine, to do imaging, how to better how to better use radio imaging to, F18 to do an earlier diagnosis, whether we can use tau to do the same thing, right? And ultimately, we would like to have a therapy, okay, with the recent approval of anti-A-beta antibody, right? Certainly, Alzheimer's disease patients, they see something, right? And we would like to have something not only reduce A beta plaque, but also improve the cognition. And it's a disease very much complicated, whether we treat inflammation, whether we just simply remove the plaque, things like that. I think it does require, a multidisciplinary research to address the issue. That's one thing. And also, Parkinson's disease, that's something I think, we have to pay attention to. But how to prevent aging, right? That's something even young people are very much interested in. I think we have to have a very good positive attitude towards that, right? I think the best prevention is actually how to exercise, how to control your lipid, how to control your blood pressure, right? And in our pipeline, if you look at that, we have all of those, how to prevent stroke, right? that's I think, it's still work in progress, right? And I think if we look at the burden generated by aging population to the society, you have to really pay attention to the needs, right? Okay.
Well, I think surely definitely aging is such a social problem now, not only a health problem. But I notice that now quite many hospitals, they have their own cohort to study different the patients or the community, these kind of citizens. So how we integrate it, how we combine, or how we collect these data all together to make a larger cohort, surely use the same criteria or the protocols, may be that we may find more earlier these biomarkers for this. So I think working together is very, very important issue for all the hospitals, health industries, and all the researchers as well. So here I think the cohort, very, very valuable the cohort, we should work together. So that's what my comment. Thank you.
So I think anti-aging is a very challenging project, but everybody is very interested in it. But due to the limit of time, probably we still have 3 minutes, right? So maybe maybe one more question. Let me see. I prepared many. Yeah. So probably for Dr. Zhu. So in terms of Chinese clinical innovation, what contributions do you expect your hospital will bring us? Maybe it's too big.
Well, that's a large question. That's a lot. It's huge. Yeah, it's huge. But as I said, in my presentation, that it will be an open platform that serving those who are interested in working with us, whatever in the very urge of the pathogenesis studies or even the the clinical trial, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, even phase 4, we are working together. This is not only working with domestic investigators, but also international investigators. But surely the hospital should have our own core faculty members. They should be high standard. They can face the different kind of cooperation, and they can work with the different kind of cooperators together. So that means we will have our just talented staffs, but also we're working with the talented staffs or our colleagues from anywhere that we can work together. So that means it's a platform, but we have our own members can work open and flexibly, but with a high quality working with the others. I think that's the added value for this. It's not only serving the patient. Surely serving patients is very important, but it's not only to serve the patient, but you try to get something out of that patient, out of that population. Try to apply this to the other populations or to the other situations that we can make more benefit to the whole society. So that's, I think, the added value for this. Thank you.
More comments?
There is a big challenge for your centers, how to make the patient have enough confidence for your center. Because for for the patients, they are facing the first problem is how to make diagnosis and treat their diseases. So what you are action for that?
Well, that's, as I said, we have our own faculties, but also we have external faculties as well. They can have clinic, they can do operation, they can work in together with us. It should be in a new, innovative way, not as long as said that the public hospitals should control everything, all these kind of issues. So make a field to those who are willing to spend the time and to spend the energy and to contribute the knowledge to our center and also to the society. Make it open and flexible. Thank you. I know it's not easy, but we have to do it. No other ways.
So also you have top-notch physicians, you'll be okay.
Any more comments or questions from audience? Yeah.
Thank you very much for all the distinguished guests and your sharing your insights. I have a specific question actually about to manage clinical trials in Europe. I'm so pleased to hear Dr. Zhang, and you said to recruit patients in Europe actually a bit much easier than probably you had thought. This is a typical question from many of clients from China, and they are interested in moving to Europe and they try to find clinical trial, the CRO service. I'm just wondering that how did you manage that? Maybe you can share some bit that you manage internally, or you work with the CRO and internally. I know you have a very strong team there. Could you please share a little bit that it might be helpful for the other companies? Thank you.
Sure. And what happened is, for the trial management in China, we do it all by ourselves. But for Europe or US, actually, we are working with CROs. Okay? In fact, for our 310 study, the liver cancer, first-line liver cancer trial, we were able to recruit nearly 80 patients from Europe. Okay, of course, the majority of them are from East Europe. Okay, and we do have success with recruit patients from Spain. Okay, from Italy. Okay, right, and you need a different team to run the trial over there. We have our own coordinator. We are working with CRO companies. It's not easy. The same is true with our prostate cancer, right? You can't, prostate cancer is does have a huge patient population in Europe, okay, right? And even in UK, in Germany, they don't enjoy the nice medical system like in US, right? They have limited access. Okay, in Switzerland it could be different, right? But even though in those countries they have limited access to certain innovative medicine, that's a very sad story, but that's a fact, and that creates a certain room for us. Okay, right? Cost is probably, let's take the exchange rate as a factor, right? So if we typically spend 30 cents, right? Okay, we need probably cents euro over there, right? 300,000, right?
Right. So that's actually another question. I'm sorry to take another to Dr. Zhu about your new center, because there are at the moment, I believe there should be a strong need from Europe. There are a lot of companies that they are in just at a bit of early stage or pre-IND stage, and they've struggled to raise funds. And some of the company would like to other direction, so they come to China and ask, could we complete the last bit of the pre-IND stage, and then they move into the clinical stage, and they are looking for opportunities. So I have several clients are looking for that. I just wonder if your center, when it's well established, what is the benefit you could bring or attract more European companies to collaborate with you? Thank you.
Yeah, currently, before my center have accomplished, we already just with the ShanghaiTech University working with the companies and also with the hospitals to do these kind of researches or even prove a concept in some labs inside the university, also in that building, which we rent for do our just prove a concept, administration, and training for the new faculties. So I think that's quite possible that we may have detailed discussion for this. And even though that we have strong support from the Academy of Science of China and ShanghaiTech University, also other academic institutions, even these kind of the larger facilities surrounding Zhangjiang areas can give these kind of support. So that should be the tailor-made programs that we will have the detailed discussion for this. I'm happy, I'm open for this and for this. Even a hospital have accomplished, we can also work in the different ways.
And it would be less costly compared to Europe then?
I'm not so sure, so say this.
More cost efficient. This way, right?
Okay, thank you, speakers, and thank you, audience. So we have to close our session 1 now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think for the sake of time, I propose we have like 10-minute coffee break. So please come back at 4:50, and for our Swiss participants, please come back at 9:50. Thank you. Okay, so for the participants, yes, please be seated. So I hope that everybody enjoyed the short coffee break. So I think now it's time really to start the second session. So the name of the second session is Technology in Hospital Transformation. So now I will also welcome our moderator, Dr. Wu Weiren. So who received his PhD from ETH Zurich, the connection, and also he's also Swiss Next Fellow. And also now he serves as an assistant professor at the School of Information Science and Technology at ShanghaiTech University. So please, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Nie, and I'm very honored to host the second session, which is the technology in hospital transformation. So actually, we will have three talks. We will have 3 talks, but 4 speakers. And they are true medtech innovators from both industry and academia. Or, I mean, more precisely, maybe it's more like an organization between public and private. So let's move to the first talk. So the first talk, we will have 2 speakers. So let me give a short introduction. So the first speaker is Stefan Zutter. Stefan is the managing director to the Swiss Center for Design and Health. In 2018, the Bern University of Applied Sciences and the state of Bern encharted Stefan to help build a national technology competence center for design and health. Today, the SCDH employs 25 people with a wide range of skill and expertise. Together, they develop proven design solutions and the standards that promote health. So the second speaker is Dr. Minu Azali. Sorry. Dr. Minu Azali is the head of research at the Swiss Center for Design and Health. Prior to that, she was deputy head of the Institute of Design Research and professor of social design at Bern Academy of Applied Sciences. So let's welcome the first talk.
So we come in a double pack today. I will say a few words and then Minu will take over. Please let me just start by thanking the organizers, ShanghaiTech University, but also the whole team of SwissNex. This marks the end of an incredibly interesting research trip for us, which started in Japan and will unfortunately end tomorrow with our flight back to Switzerland. We thought about going back later, but we have to go back, but we will be back in Shanghai. So just let me give you a few introductory remarks about the center. So we're the Swiss Center for Design and Health. Now in Switzerland, many people ask us, what does it mean, design and health? Like, why are these two things are not really in common in some people's mind? In Switzerland, a lot of times if you mention the word design, it's usually associated with getting an extra aesthetical value if you pay more money. So if you pay more money, you get a design chair instead of just a normal chair, you know. So that's not the design we are interested in. It's not, we have nothing against things looking nice, but that's not the main reason why we exist. So let me go through or start the presentation. This you already know. Oh, I'm going the wrong way, sorry. What you see here actually is our living lab, and we will talk a little bit more about it in a few moments. So the challenges in Switzerland are actually, even though we're very, very different countries in terms of size and structure and many, many things, but there are some challenges which seem to be, just listening to the speakers before, seem to be quite similar. The Swiss national government, the federal government, has or identifies 4 main challenges until the year of 2030. I'm not going to go into all of them, but of course, one of the things you are also confronted with is people live longer. Generally, that's a good thing, but it just means it poses challenges to the greater society. And one thing which Switzerland is also struggling with is we have a very, very high quality of the national healthcare system, but it's also quite expensive. Everyone is forced to have a private insurance, and for some people, even though it is commonly assumed that Switzerland is a rich country, which it is, but it doesn't mean that there are not people struggling with some of the financial challenges that having this insurance it poses on them. I'm going the wrong way again. It's not very intuitive for my brain, obviously, sorry. So just to give you a quick idea about our organization. So we're funded by the federal government, by the canton of Bern, and by private stakeholders. We work human-centered. This is very important for us to emphasize. We are a technology center, a national competence center, but it is important for us not to always keep in mind who are we doing this for. We work participative and evidence-based. That means we use existing research, and the research of design and health is about 40 years old. This is when it kind of started in 1984, but also we create our own research project. And then you will see we have a quite unique infrastructure. We have a living lab where we do prototyping, simulation, and testing on a 1-on-1 scale on about 3,500 square meters. This you don't really need to memorize. It's just to show that in our organization, we are very aware that it's dangerous to stay in a bubble. So what we established is different boards, different member groups that are influencing us and informing us with their ideas. For example, it was very important for us that we have an international advisory board body. It was important for us not just to stay in this, sometimes a bit guarded country of Switzerland, but that we are really, really inspired and influenced by people outside who live in different situations, who have different backgrounds. And so that's kind of, to show that. So this, I mentioned it before, is our living lab. Now it's much, much fuller. This is just to give you an impression of the room. And basically what we do there is we do, for example, in the left space, in this gray area, we do on a scale of 1-to-1, we do simulations of, for example, a newly built hospital. So we project. This is all an area where we can project. It's basically a 600 square meter big screen. We project ground floors. We build moving walls. And then, and this is very important about the methodology, we use the users to then test these mock-up rooms. So So we don't just have the hospital administrators and maybe the architectural team, but we have nursing staff, surgeons, and they write, like for a movie, they write the script and they say, we're going to test a shoulder operation. And then they will use this scenario to test how the rooms are actually working and then give a feedback to the architectural team and to the management of the hospital. I don't know what it's like in China. In Switzerland, this is usually not the case. Usually you have people with the expertise from nursing, from medical staff, they're not involved in these kind of processes. Now, we believe very strongly that to not ask someone who is a nurse or who's a doctor how they interact in a room is a lost perspective that is actually really, really valuable. Just because someone doesn't have an architectural degree but works for 25 years in nursing doesn't mean they don't know anything about the room. This is a huge source of knowledge that we think is worth to harvest for these type of projects. So that's one of the things we use our lab for. We are not against technology. We use we use AR and VR, but if we have these testings, and in these test settings, there's sometimes until up to 12 people, we need to be in an environment that's as close as to the real thing as possible. It's not the same thing if you move a bed that's 120 kilos, sitting down with a joystick. It's not the same experience with your body to move it actually 35 meters each day in a hallway for like 20 times. So we incorporate new technologies, of course, but we don't just because we try to keep a sort of a critical view also on technology. Now we are a technology competence center, but we have this view that just because something is possible doesn't always mean it has to be done. I can speak Swiss German here. I'm capable of doing it, but it doesn't make any sense here. So just because the technology exists, it doesn't mean, in our case, that we just say we apply it readily always without having a critical thing. Thanks. That means I have to hand over to Minu. This is our national network. You can see we have Shanghai already on the map, our international network, but we're very happy to expand on it. And now Minu will say a few words.
So let me just shortly give you an idea. So what we understand if we talk about design. So we have a very broad definition of design, and these are mainly like 3 areas that we work in. One that Stefan already mentioned is the objects and the built environment. So it's about how can the environment, the spaces support, for instance, the work and treatment processes of nurses and doctors. Another area is visual communication. So it's the whole topic of information design. How is information perceived by a patient? How is it provided? How are forms designed in order to mediate knowledge or patient education, for instance? How are user interfaces designed? How is a signage in a hospital designed? How are the font letters that, for instance, somebody who is visually impaired can read it? And the last area is systems and processes. So the area of service design. If you think about a patient, how is the journey of the patient through the hospital journey, and how can we design this experience? So this is the whole area of service design. So what Stefan mentioned just briefly is the thing that we do in our living lab. You see some images from simulations. So we bring in medical staff, nursing staff to test plans of future hospitals. So this is a hospital that is going to be newly built in an outpatient clinic in the canton of Zurich. So as Stefan mentioned, we are writing scripts about routine scenarios, about emergency scenarios, and then we moderate the simulations together with the medical staff and with the nursing staff. We observe them. We are a team of researchers observing them, and then we do a debriefing to evaluate how the environment and the space could be improved. And what you can see, we can have real physical objects which are used in a hospital, but we also have mock-ups. So this is like objects that we build in our workshops. We have 2 workshops, in wood workshop and a metal workshop. So these are like objects, placeholders in 1-to-1 size that the medical staff interacts with. Here you can see a debriefing, a surgeon telling us what could be improved, like the workflows on the in the OR, for instance. Yes, and one last thought, we also have in a later stage in the building process, we have like mock-up rooms where you can test like materials, colors, lighting, interaction of different elements within the room. But you can also test technology. If you think about remote care at home, which is a huge topic in Switzerland right now, because most care will also be in the future provided at home. So how is telecommunication providing treatment processes, and how does an environment has to be designed in order to make this communication between doctor and patient as best as it can be if the doctor is not on site. And this is a patient room. So we have 4 mock-up rooms. We have 2 patient rooms. We have 1 long-term room and 1 like a apartment building, which is, You want to say something?
Yeah, just one brief thing, because you see this now from Shanghai and you think, well, that's all maybe very nice and interesting, but I'm in China. We're working on technologies right now, telepresence robot, camera systems, motion capture systems, where we working on a process that will make the space available to people who are not physically present in Biel. It's very nice in Biel. If you ever stop by, I really invite you to come and visit us. We are very open to receive visitors very happily. But so there are efforts to work on processes that maybe make it possible not to also to use it without being physically present. Thank you very much from both of us. Yes.
Thank you, the previous speakers. So the second talk will be given by my colleague, Professor Xiong Ze. Professor Xiong Ze is an assistant professor and the director of the Wireless and the Smart Bioelectronics Lab, WISE Lab, nice name, at the ShanghaiTech University. So his research interest will be focuses on the development and the applications of wireless and smart bioelectronics to indoor clinic and personalized healthcare procedures with digital intelligence. He has published over 40 peer-reviewed papers, including Nature BME and Nature Materials, among others. So let's welcome.
Okay, first I need to thank the great invitation for having me here. And so today my topic is like wireless and flexible bioelectronics, right? So the key word is bioelectronics, but maybe not everyone here knows what it's for. So I may spend some time and share a 2 short story and give you some explanation. The first story is like it happened in 1958 in Sweden. There is a patient named Arne Larsen and he suffered from a fainting attack due to the loss of his synchronization in his heart. So his wife, to save his life, persuaded a doctor and engineer to develop this kind of weird device, and which composed of the most advanced transistor developed at that time, and also some capacitor and a coil, and they indeed implant this device into the patient's body. And this device successfully extended his life for another 43 years. And so maybe the audience, some already guess what it is. Actually today we call it a pacemaker. So pacemaker actually is the first successful bioelectronics device implanted into human body and to cure disease. And today, you already have a varying range of the bioelectronic devices to cure the different diseases. So in comparison with a traditional drug, I would not say drug is have some shortage, but it's most successful solution for a lot of diseases right now. But the drug has its own shortage, right? It's hard to control where it goes to and when it gets out of our body. So it's unavoidable to have some side effects. But for the tiny, small bioelectronic device implanted in our body, we can precisely locate it to the position of the disease, and also immediately switch off after the treatment is finished, right? So that's spatial temporal precision. So I would say the bioelectronic device may have some potential to serve as an alternative approach to the existing biomolecular-based drug treatment. So that's the first story. The second story, another disease that can be treated by the bioelectronics. The list of the diseases keep going on, from the Parkinson's disease, the sleeping disorder, the hearing disorder, as well as different pains. So, and especially recently, there is another disease called rheumatoid arthritis, which is usually considered as a disease far from the electronics treatment. But recently, there's a report that a patient with this kind of bioelectronics implant can be partially alleviated this kind of symptom. So, so this is for the treatment, right? But beyond the treatment, on the other side, there is also some diagnosis application. So this is the magazine cover, actually, literally 100 years ago. Yeah. So people imagine, okay, maybe you can put this kind of old TV, black magic box at home, and you can through this TV and to contact with this doctor, maybe 100 miles away from your home. And they can also give this kind of prescription. You can just follow this prescription and take pills, and you can cure your disease at home, right? That's very fascinating. But you may think about, okay, it's very good, but you hardly imagine you can just take this black box everywhere. But thanks to the progress of the IC industry, right, nowadays we already have some very impressive electronics. I mean, you can just have the Apple Watch and the glucose sensor. You can wear it and get your physiological and pathological information anytime and anywhere on demand. So with this kind of bioelectronic sensor, actually, you can do the diagnosis and the treatment, and especially during the past COVID-19, you can imagine the hospital is all heavily overloaded. So if you can have this kind of small, like a smart device, you can easily improve the healthcare efficiency, right? So they can bring a lot of advantages in comparison with this, and serve as a complementary approaches to the existing hospital service. And so after I recently joined ShanghaiTech and launched my own lab, which is called Wireless and Smart Bioelectronics Lab. And we aim to just leverage some smart materials and wireless flexible bioelectronics to develop some like a smart window or smart interface to help us to get the signals from the human body and transmit it to the outside digital smart terminal. And then the terminal can, in turn, give the treatment program or treatment signal and help us to cure the different disease. So that's what we want to do. In recent several years, actually, my personal focus may be on the wound management. Why wound management? Because it's a huge demand. For example, in China, there are tens of millions of people suffer from the injury every year, and it is the #1 cause of death for people under 45. And so I just identify several representative issues, for example, the wound infection, the suture failure, as well as abnormal intracranial pressure after brain trauma, and develop several solutions to address this kind of issue. We always look for some good device, but the good device also facing some challenges, right? So how to solve these challenges? We are biomedical engineers, so we start from the real clinical problem, which is the three issues I just mentioned, and develop these kind of solutions like the smart wound dressing to monitor the wound infection, the serognostic suture to track the post-operative wound conditions, as well as the ICP monitoring patch to help us to control the brain pressure. And we actually from materials level to sensor structure level, all the way to ultimate wireless system level. And they can all work together to achieve in situ as well as early diagnosis and the treatment of the wound-related conditions. Okay, I will take several minutes, but maybe due to the time, I will not dive into the technical details. I just will explain what we have done and what it looks like. So the first work is like the wound infection sensor, right? So with this sensor, we can just have some wearable device and attach to the wound skin surface, and it can help us to identify the wound infection at the early time. And the final product like this one, okay, you can have a smartphone with some customized app, and you just need to have a quick tapping, and it can tell you whether your wound is under infection. And the healthcare giver and the patient itself will do the early treatment to just save the patient from the most severe complications. And the second solution is for the deep wound, and especially for gastrointestinal wound. So we consider, okay, maybe we can use the existing suture as a good platform, right? So we functionalize the suture and to make it serve as a small antenna and to transmit the detected signal all the way to the outside detector. And I hope to highlight is the process is can be smoothly integrated to existing operation, right? So you don't need to pay too much attention for the surgeon and to do extra work to deploy this kind of suture sensor. So this work is recognized by the Nature Biomedical Engineering journal, and selected as a cover work in that issue. And the final product is this one, and we implanted it into some rat and even large animal. It can help us to track the wound condition for like up to 2 weeks. And at the end of this experiment, we can just mimic some gastric leakage due to the suture failure, and it can report immediately this kind of abnormal condition to the operators. And also beyond the diagnosis, actually the suture itself can serve, of course, as a treatment method, right? So we compare it to the medical suture without any modification, and our suture show the comparable wound healing performance. So we can call it a serognostic suture. And the last one is the ICP monitoring. I will skip the first slide because of time. The final outcome is like this one. We can get this kind of tiny sensor, which is less than 1 millimeter. We can implant to the skull wound site, and we use a wireless module which is less than the coin size, and the whole system can track the intracranial pressure for over 3 days because of the life of the battery. If we can fully use some wireless powering, we can maybe even extend the life of the whole system. Okay, we also get a lot of feedback from academic and industry, but I will skip this slide. And the first slide is like this one. It's hard for the audience actually to imagine what it will look like in the future hospital. It is our topic today, right? So I just asked for AI for his help to tell us what it will look like. So I use this prompt like the patient with digital electronics in future hospital. It gave us this kind of picture. It's a handsome, handsome boy, maybe a little bit cyberpunk style, but it's a handsome boy lying on the bedside, and with a lot of electronics, but without a lot of wires and catheters, right? It's a very relaxed, and maybe he still like a cup of coffee, and it will be more even relaxed. So it's very interesting and fascinating future picture. And another question is like what will looks like for a doctor with digital electronics in future hospital, right? The result is like this one. Okay, it's well-equipped doctor with all the VR, AR instrument or the digital terminal in her body, and but with all this kind of digital electronics and as well as bioelectronics, firmly believe there will be a brighter future for patients in future hospitals. Okay, that's all for my talk. Yeah.
Okay, so we are a little bit behind the schedule. So let's welcome the third speaker. The speaker is Dr. Frederick Johnson. Dr. Frederick Johnson is the founder and the CEO of Surgeons Lab, AR, AG, a medtech company based out of Switzerland University Hospital Byrne. He specializes in the area of image-guided surgery. His earlier works include developing core technology, the medical science cycle, and the product market and the translational medicine. Let's welcome.
Hi, good evening, all. Greetings from Switzerland. I'm Frederick. I'm the founder and CEO of Surgeons Lab. I hope everyone can listen to me. I'm given the topic to talk on training the future healthcare professionals. So where the future is heading to, and how we see the future. I'll take a few minutes to talk what we do as a company. So we are focusing in the neuro intervention and neurosurgical area. So meaning to train neurosurgeons who is doing very complex surgeries in the brain, in spine, and so on. And we also produce products that can train for in neurointerventional radiology for robotic procedures for very complex, delicate anatomy that goes inside the body, which is microscopic generally size and shape, which cannot be usually seen in the naked eye. So for example, the product that you see here, he's a young trainee neurosurgeon who is trying to become a skull-based neurosurgeon. He is using our technology to train himself. And the other one, he is actually an experienced consultant for cerebrovascular procedures. You may know about stroke, aneurysms, paralysis, and so on for neurological disorders. So he is using our technology together with the sophisticated neurosurgical suite in training his upcoming patient, for example, meaning he simulates all the complications in our device before he's going to treat a particular patient. And in this year, he is also an senior interventional radiologist and a professor. He's using our technology. You can see the console. He's basically sitting outside the room and he's training for the patient that we are going to be treating using a stent-assisted coil in the brain. We also have solutions, AI-based, maybe more apt for the future topic, where we have a software which can actually shortlist and recommend the most market available implants, which is microscopic, that goes into the human body. So we focus on minimally invasive surgeries, like you might have heard about endoscopic procedures, which is making a small burr hole or a very small incision into the human body. So our technology is completely based on radiological images. We use real patient images when we are creating software or our training tools. Much more specifically, we are a company. I hear the last speaker even talking about the use of VR, AR. So we are a company also we're using VR, AR for training as well as also physical reality, meaning we use the advanced 3D printing technology, a proprietary concept that we developed in-house for replicating patient anatomy, microanatomy, like that you see from the radiological images here. So the models are plug and play using also you have augmentation of the patient's anatomy into the patient model, as well as we cover a wide spectrum of diseases, pathologies from neurovascular, tumor, neuro-oncology, spine, pediatric kid cases, and even trauma cases, for example. So there are some use cases. I'm getting into the topic of how trainees in the future would be getting a scope of entrance into the curriculum. How are they going to be graded based on their hands-on experience? Is going to be CME based, of course. We also have another product. This is how it is. It's going to be more, I'm sharing my insights and how we as a company is cooperating with societies globally, from even China, also from the United States, and also from European countries. So we see more and more hospitals and more education system, especially in specialized surgical interventional areas, are focused on hands-on training. So in the state of the art, looks like more doctors have been trained directly on the patients, meaning they were exposed to real scenario of treating a patient without any practical knowledge. So there was just theory. They just got into the operation room or into a patient's ICU, for instance, a patient's bed, and they started to learn, see what a professor or a senior doctor is doing when they are being when they are trained to be treating a patient. So now we see more and more hands-on. For example, very basic level, we see also more availability of mannequins, high fidelity simulators sitting in a simulation room in a hospital, be it a teaching hospital or a private or even an advanced hospital where advanced specialty training is given. We see more and more availability of life-like phantoms, life-like simulators available in there. And how we see that this is going to change is because scenarios is something that you cannot always recreate in a mannequin. So we also see the mannequin taking a shape of low fidelity, meaning that there is little life to that of a life that has that can be also replicated or mimicked to the stage where different scenarios of, let's say, a trauma or an emergency or a scenario of a complication in a surgery or be it in even in a pre-normal normal patient care can also be addressed. We see more and more mannequins are coming. There is advancements going from several research studies academically as well as also industries for operating today, selling these simulators or bringing scenario based. Or not only that, also there is focus going on data, meaning like these simulators, training modules are also consisting of sensors embedded with some intelligence in it, where there is data that is collected, be it of image or a video or a data format through the sensors. They're also trained in a way to actually also give out a result which is going to be called as objective based measurement. Today we see more a subjective based measurement, meaning that a professor is watching out a trainee or a doctor in the early stages, giving them specific subjective feedback, which is not really very discrete or concrete to the task that they're doing. So we see also as a task-specific, scenario-based objective measurement, which is also measurable, meaning that it's more like a smart watch technology that you can see how many steps you have run, for instance, how is your health, for example, your heart rate or your SpO2 or a blood pressure. Same way, there are very relevant metrics that is also applied for specific hands-on training these days. And we see scenario-based training is giving also the doctors today more awareness how they are going to be well prepared for any such procedures in the future. And data is playing a huge role, and utilizing the data as one important element. Also, the healthcare economics globally is based on how someone is compensated, either a doctor or a hospital, how they are compensated for any specific procedure. The whole world, I think, it's moving into the direction of value-based healthcare. It is not just simply that an insurance is just going to reimburse for a specific code of procedure. It is also going to be a closed loop feedback that whether the patient care was really a qualitative assessment, whether they are able to recover within a set of period of time or not. And this is actually also changing. For example, in the Western world, we see now also there is a small improvement in value-based medicine. So we see also training professionals is going to contribute to improvement of quality in patient care. At the same time, how we let's say assume as a general population, also as well as the health insurance providers are also going to spend their money for a patient care is also going to change. And training especially is we have seen notably a lot of clinical studies from different specialities within medicine and surgery and interventional radiology that there is evidences that training can save time, training can save cost in a hospital within a treatment scenario. So meaning that it is also going to play a huge role in how money is spent, how fund is allocated for any specific procedure. Not only that, we are also going to see that every patient who is going to be treated in the future is going to get quality healthcare, and meaning that we have still more time, maybe 20 years of time, that a patient can also access history of a hospital or be it a clinician based on a data. Say basically take an IPP and they say, okay, this particular hospital for this specific disease has got this grade of or score of treatment rating, and they're going to actually go to a particular clinic based on that, and this becomes also an internal pressure for each of the hospitals to provide a quality health. And more specifically, having data as a big, efficient means of measuring something, not only of training, but also how each and every single small workflow in a hospital is going to change. Of course, we are already in an environment of sensory-based automation workflow. We are going to see this is going to make the work of a healthcare professional more simpler, meaning that they're going to make it move in the area of making their productivity higher, their quality is going to be higher, their time is going to be saved, as well as they are going to be faster in treating the patient. And for a patient, it's going to be easier to access any hospital, and it is also like whether they are trained enough or not. Also, for any regulatory body to enter into a process of approval and compliance point of view, it's going to be easier, and also it's going to be efficient. And I'm very happy to have been giving this talk, and I'm open for any questions and discussion. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So we have finished all three talks. So let's move to the next session, the panel discussion. Please, speakers. Okay, so we have very diverse topic in this session. I mean, including from the very big picture, like the future hospital design, I mean the room design, to the microscopic level, like microscopic, and in the end to the simulator or for the AR VR technology. So my first question is very similar like the previous panel discussion. So it's about aging. I mean, you may be curious about why people ask aging all the time. I mean, because there's a story, like from last year, China is actually, the population of China is actually decreased, which means we are speed up to the aging society. I mean, so the first question is for Stefan and for Minu. So from the designer view, I mean, what will the future hospital be like in an aging society?
Well, I think what we see in Switzerland is what I mentioned before, is that care and treatment processes shift from an institutional setting to the home environment. So more and more people want to stay at home as long as possible. For instance, in Switzerland, we have nursing homes, so facilities where elderly people, if they really are in need of care and need professional care, that at some point, if family caregivers cannot provide this care, they move into institutions which are called nursing homes. But what we can see is that the age that people enter a nursing home is getting older and older. So we try to care for people as long as possible at their home. So we also have mobile nursing services in Switzerland that provide care at home. So I think, from my perspectives, I think that care at home will be, and this is also what we see in the canton of Bern, it's an initiative that is really supported also from political level, is to invest in this area, to do more research in the area how we can provide care at home.
Maybe on a very simple level, what we encounter as well is that, as Minu said, many people stay at home longer. Maybe they need devices that are actually similar to a hospital, for example, a bed or certain other equipment, but they don't want them to look like a hospital. They don't want to live in a hospital. They want to live in their apartment, and they want these devices to look as natural as possible. And also in institutions where there's long-time care, for example, they really try to avoid these places to look like hospitals, but in terms of the equipment, so far, it's mostly looked like hospital because these are the providers that they use for these institutions. And on a very sort of basic design level as well, there's not, at least in Switzerland, there's not many furniture or equipment that is actually usable like devices that you find in a hospital, but don't look like you are living in a hospital, which most people don't want to.
I think it's a very nice idea, because I see from your presentation, it reminds me of IKEA. So I think it's correct point, right? I mean, a nice hospital should not be like a hospital maybe in future.
And also, what is important is, what we find a lot is that architects, they think about the patients. There's a lot of focus on making hospitals work almost like hotels. It's called hospitality. But what we find a lot is that the people in Switzerland are, on average, they're 5 days in a hospital per year. There's people who work there for 35 years. And a lot of times these people are not included. I will give you one example. I was in a hospital where the place where the nurses change their clothes, like where they get dressed for their work, is in the basement at the end of a dark tunnel next to the recycling bins. That's a message you give these people each day when they change their clothes. You tell them something with that, you know? And so what we try to do is have a more inclusive, more holistic approach where we also, that's why we get these people in, to have their perspective being part of the process, which it sounds simple, and a lot of times good solutions don't have to be complicated all the time, but it's not, in the process in Switzerland, it's not like that. These perspectives are usually part of the whole process.
Yeah, thank you. So for Xiongze, do you have any solutions from wireless bioelectronics for facing the aging society?
Okay, thanks for the question. Actually, I highly echo the previous two speakers' views, and we can make some medical procedures, maybe not looks like hospital, but still in some hospital-like setting, right? In my earlier sharing, like in that back to 100 years ago, people already think maybe we can just stay at home or some cozy environment, but you can still receive the healthcare the process, right? So with my bioelectronics or some other devices developed by other groups, maybe we can have one day we can just relax at the bed, right, and wear the different devices, and we can just get the diagnosis done and get the treatment done, and then it's not so nervous, right? It's a cozy environment. You can have a cup of coffee, and I think that's maybe the future picture. So that's my personal view here.
Thanks. So the second question will also be for you, for Xiongze. So we see many interesting devices in your talk. So which disease do you think will be the most likely opportunity for wearable device to have a real application? I mean, we see a lot of smarter watch, like Apple Watch, like Huawei Watch. But what exactly will be the disease, like opening a new opportunity for the wearable device?
Okay, it's a really good question. Actually, I should answer this question from two different perspectives. The first perspective is like maybe it's far from the clinical setting, right, for personal use, for your daily life. I think maybe Huawei's watch or Apple Watch, these kind of non-invasive or minimal invasive devices will be more preferred, right? So actually, for this kind of watch, you can easily do the ECG or some other monitoring. So you can collect a lot of data actually from this kind of wrist and do some even in-depth analysis with the help of the AI or machine learning to help you to manage your health condition. So I think that's most achievable, first tier achievable application. And the second tier, I think, is more clinical setting, right? Maybe within a hospital or just not far from the clinical healthcare givers, you can, under the guidance, either in hospital or through some communication, so you can still, hold some a little bit invasive devices, like what I have already developed for the wound infection monitoring, right? So with those kind of device, maybe it's not so deep implanted, but it's some wearable scenario, and you can, because you already wounded, so it's not so invasive. So with those kind of devices, you probably have the chance to help you improve the wound management quality and to help you identify disease, especially echo the first aging period, right? For those kind of elder people, actually their body is easily suffer from severe complications. So with these kind of smart devices, you may identify those kind of infection at the early time and do the early treatment.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So the next question will be for Frederick online. Okay. So so we know, like in Switzerland, there are a lot of cutting-edge spin-off companies. I mean, they are spin-off from many universities, both ETH, EPFL, and the University of Bern. Like they have very good startup companies. So the question is, I mean, how to keep the competence of a small startup company in medtech field? I mean, because there are a lot of giant companies like GE, like Philips. I mean, in China, we have United Imaging. I mean, they have a whole spectrum of medical technologies. I mean, how to keep your competence as a startup company?
Thank you for the question. I think when we especially talk about startup, to comparing that to of a corporate, I think we are talking about a very specific problem most of the startup tries to solve. Like it's a very specific, unique problem. I think when we talk about, for example, United Imaging or GE, I think they have a portfolio of products of different radiological equipments, right? When we especially talk about any specific spin-off, there is some technology that comes from the university or a spin-off that's associated with the university hospital here in Switzerland. For example, in our case, I think we are only talking about microsurgical procedures and simulation technology. So this comes from the ground. Say, for example, we are going to address one specific challenge and one specific problem. I think it's an accumulation of a team as well as also a spirit and knowledge that you have to drive in the direction that's specifically going to address the issue that we are going to face in the process of growing a startup. Because startup one day becomes a large company if it's successful. I think competence keeps building up, but being very structured, being systematic, focused. I think it's very important, and I think most of the startups still do that.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think we are approaching the end. So I would like to ask the audience if you have very interesting questions.
how do you bring hospital capabilities in the home of patients, right? To allow more convenience for patients. Also, like you said, keep them home longer and empower them within their disease. So that's a question to any of you who wants to answer, because I think it's cross three speakers. Thank you.
Maybe let's just try to give a very quick start. The reason why we, for example, went on this trip, but also we invite guest professors to our institution, is to find out how different societies, different cultures deal with exactly what you just described. For example, our last visiting professor is from Israel, and there already exist these modes of care which are remote, like, for example, physiotherapy, things like that. The acceptance of these technologies seems to me from the outside to be much higher than in Switzerland, and also the hurdles you have to go through in Switzerland for it to be ethically approved in terms of data security and things like that seem to be very different. But I think the question is to think about these things in a systematic way, because it's not just about what I said in the most basic means about a furniture piece or about a nurse that comes home. This is a seismic shift in the whole system, because you have to ask yourself, who is paying for these services? Do they actually work without the help of relatives? They still need to be involved, yes or no? Who pays for this in terms of, like, is there another insurance? Who forms these people, who gives them the education to maybe there's new jobs created through that? So I think we need to be realistic and humble at this point. We deal with one segment about this, which is sort of focused on design. But I think in terms of the whole shift, it will be a seismic shift that has a huge impact on the whole healthcare system.
Maybe I can add a point here. So I really like the way we were talking about making a hospital look like a home. I think I visited Dubai a couple of weeks ago, and I see there's private hospital completely architected in a way that is going to look like a hotel, and there are some rooms which is going to look like a personal home, for instance. And we see more and more number of devices these days coming to monitor the health and provide some additional information data, for instance, within the home setting for any specific problem. And I see that it's all about information. When some person who is feeling sick or having some symptoms of getting into any specific disease have some more information of understanding what the problem they are facing before reaching to a clinic, I think it's going to save also the healthcare spending, and also going to save the time and of course the cost to the economics. In terms, for example, there is also more and more devices these days coming where who is going to pay for these devices? For example, if you have a home monitoring system for any specific device, I think these days I also see mostly happening that the companies are negotiating with the health insurance providers and also to the hospitals to cover the cost of these devices, because doctors find it very useful, because they are really bringing enormous amount of data information of one specific patient. And it's also beyond the data of measuring one's personal health. It is also about information. These days we just simply do a Baidu search or a Google search. Say, for example, if we have any symptoms, it's also going to be very specific, targeted source of information that we can access. In the future, I think that's going to also change more in the way of having an APP, for instance, or making use of, for example, like you mentioned about Apple Watch or Apple Watch, for instance. These are going to improve the way home monitoring and personal health benefit is going to improve a lot.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any other questions? Okay, I think I will conclude one message. I don't know if it's proper, but I have a feeling that future hospital, the boundary of future hospital is very blurred. I mean, that's the message you delivered to me. And the second message delivered to me is the future hospital is about a human. I mean, whether you have you can speak Swiss Deutsch, but it's unnecessary. I mean, technology is meaningless if it's not related to human. So that's I think, the message of the second panel discussion. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So thank you. I will keep it short. So, dear esteemed colleagues and guests, so as we bring this very inspiring symposium to a close, I would like to take a moment to first extend a sincere thank you to all of our speakers and all the audience that is staying with us till the last minute. And also thank you for all the participants for their invaluable contributions to this dialogue, so really making it a success. And also, of course, special thanks again to our organizers for their efforts, throughout the preparation and also the final symposium. So as we conclude, so I hope that we can carry forward the spirit of innovation and the collaboration that has been a hallmark of today's discussions. And furthermore, I also want to point out the recent positive developments, I think, between the two countries. As you might know that our Premier, Li Qiang, actually just visited Switzerland 2 months ago. And actually China's visa-free policy, for the Swiss will become effective actually tomorrow. So I think those changes will undoubtedly, I think, to facilitate and promote the further, collaboration between us two countries. So, and hope that, in the future, those collaborations will really, lead into breakthroughs that will transform healthcare for the better and for the world. Okay, so I'm also pleased to announce that after the close of this symposium, we will be hosting a networking reception outside. So please, stay with us and also to carry on the further conversations and also explore additional networking opportunities. And once again, thank you all for your participation. Thank you.